Good morning. How's everybody doing? Let me check my audio. Looks like is it good? It's good. Okay, cool. So we'll get started. I know it's Sunday. I'm not going to try to keep you too long. I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to help whoever needs help. And today's focus is going to be mostly about not what we talked about yesterday, but in an extension of that, which is prepping for tomorrow. Today marks the beginning of a new week. However, tomorrow is the first real day that you can get back on the phones. Sunday's not really the best day to be on the phones, right? It's an okay day for follow up, but in terms of being on the phones, using ringless voicemail, voice broadcasting, email, those kinds of things for prospecting, Monday is going to be your start. So there's some prep work that needs to be done for that. And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody depending on your schedule, what you have going on, where you're at. Um, Maybe some things that you need to work on or improve in your sales process, right? Things like that. And we're also going to talk about the importance of follow up and why most people don't follow up and how much it's actually costing you. Okay, that's super important. So we'll talk about those things today. So preparation for this week and follow up. While I'm kind of getting some stuff together here, let me know where you're tuning in from. David's saying good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll talk about these things here in just a second. Art, if you're tuning in, I mean, I got your call recording and that's great and everything for client number 6, but I've only awarded you as of right now 50 points um, for that call recording because and I probably shouldn't even do that because it needs to be a call recording of a verified client. And technically, right now, there's not a screenshot posted in the group for client number 6 of revenue. And so I don't have your revenue points in there for the client number 6. I don't have your verified client points in there for client number 6. I just have your call recording points in there. And I'm debating on whether or not to keep those in there because the call recording is based on what? I mean, we've got to have proof. So I'm gonna probably give those points to you no matter what, because at the end I'm gonna do verification anyway. So um, just to be, trust but verify, keep everything above board. But you're missing some points there, brother. About 50 to be exact. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Muhammad's here. Hey, what's going on? Yep, David's in Houston. We chatted what was that, yesterday? Had a chat yesterday on the Zoom part of our call, I think, or maybe it was the day before, but I think it was yesterday. All right, let's jump right into. It's good to see you guys on. Let's jump right into preparation for next week. We'll start with that, and then we'll talk about follow up, the importance of it. So preparation for next week. And again, this is a little bit different for everybody, so I'm going to give you kind of a couple of example scenarios. Like if you work a full-time job, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, even remotely from home, then sorry, let me look at the camera a little more. Then you're going to want to uh, make sure that you have designated call times set in advance, and maybe a backup time just in case. Um, you're also going to want to make sure that you have time set aside to continue with the training. If possible, to attend these sessions live. And if not live, then recorded, right? And they're instantly recorded in multiple places. Like, I think the last time I checked, it's like 6 different places that you can find this stream. If you need more information on that, you can find that on connectwithringads.com. It's got links direct to all of our channels, specifically the ones that we're streaming to for right now, short of Instagram. We're not streaming on Instagram yet, but that's just because I haven't done that yet. We have the capability to do that. So, yeah, In other words, there's no reason why you should miss the sessions and know what it is that you need to do. Ask questions in the group, engage, even if you're not able to be part of the sessions live. I totally get it. Uh, Life is what it is, right? We've got schedules to deal with and maintain. Totally okay with that. So if you're serious about building a business around that and working with those challenges, then good for you. And just know that we're here for you. It's not just for everybody that shows up live. Although if you show up live, I'm able to help you out more. So any chance you get to be able to do that, obviously put that in there, put that in your plans for the week, really for the month, because I'll be here every day for the rest of the month, right? That's what we're doing on the December Dash. Um, the other things you want to do is, I mean, if you've got your prospecting in place, and obviously today would be a great day for things like fine tuning your sales process, listening to your own call recordings that you had from the week before, reviewing your market research, call existing clients if you have them, and have your conversations with them, as many as you can. It helps you, number one, stay sharp on what's going on in the industry, pick up some new things, as well as stay sharp on the sales end with the sales script, right? So, um, constant reviewing of that until you have a sales team hired, and then you review their work. That's the name of the game in order to keep your close ratios high. Okay, your client close ratios, that is. So how many ever pitches you make versus how many ever people you close, pitch ratio, right? Close percentage, whatever you want to call it. So those things are all important, and they're things that can be done over the weekend without having to like spend hours and hours and hours right in front of your screen or anything. I mean, the script you can take with you anywhere. Like if you've got a kids baseball game to go to, which it's winter time, so not really, maybe more like football or I don't know, something else. If you've got that going and it's not been canceled by COVID, then take your script with you. It's print out. It should already be printed out. You should be reviewing that. You should be looking at it. You also can load up. I mean, these days with smartphones being so damn smart, there are ways to load up call recordings that you can listen to uh, on a Bluetooth headset in one ear, and again, be at someone's game or the 30 minutes before the game, or um, the kids went out for pizza, and so you're in the parking lot 30 minutes, right? Whatever it takes to get it done, you can get it done. Uh, but reviewing sales calls, sales recordings, reviewing the sales script, um, making sure your clients are all set up, having conversations with those clients, all those things will help get you prepped and focused for, and setting aside your schedule, setting up your schedule for to allow for the prospecting windows. Remember, no less than 2 hours at a time. You can do more than that by all means. Anything usually beyond 4 hours or so, though, on the phone straight, you're gonna get burnt out. You're gonna get burnt out. I've seen people try to do that on a daily, and they burn out usually within a month. Actually, a lot less than that. So don't be one of those guys. But at the same time, make sure you have your schedule set so that you can do what you need to do. Right. If you're sending out emails, obviously that's part of the scheduling and all that kind of stuff as well. So, um, and that kind of leads me into the next point that I want to talk about today. So uh, that's your preparation for the week. Now, this week's actually fairly important. This week and next week, because these are the last 2 weeks of December before the holiday weeks, and I call them the holiday weeks because, um, or the holla weeks and holla months even, because a lot of people go into holiday mode, right? But it really happens on years where December, the month of December, the holidays fall during the weekdays. So, like if you look at, for example, I'm going to pull up the calendar here real quick. So if you look at your own calendar, you'll see that Christmas Eve is on Thursday, which means Thursday, Friday. So Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I mean, that's like a 4 day weekend right there. And then if you look, obviously it's exactly a week away. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is also on the next Thursday and Friday. So that means you have 2 short weeks in a row. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? It's almost as if, I mean, you could take that following Monday, if you were a business owner, I'm saying, and you were already hurting, or you knew that business was going to run without you, or you knew that you were going to be shut down anyway, right? This is the mindset we're talking about here. those 3 days in between Christmas and New Year's, you probably would take those off, right? Or be available but not go in, right? If that makes sense. And I'm not saying that's going to be the case every time, or maybe forward your phone calls from the office or place of business to your cell phone, right? Those kinds of things. Those are highly likely this year, especially with everything going on with COVID. I'm looking at the calendar. Let me pull the calendar over here so I can quit looking back and forth like I'm doing this. I got four screens, so work with me here. So I'm looking now at the calendar. Let me pull it up so I can look closer to the camera. Hey, there we go. So I'm looking at the calendar, and those 2 short weeks. I mean, it's just that's brutal. But did we expect anything less from 2020? I mean, shit, man. Um, I don't know if I do at this point, and I'm okay with that. I'm just saying we work with what we got, and what we got is this week, next week, and then 2 short weeks in a row. Bang bang. And they're not going to be less effective or anything. I just want you to be aware, like people really go into this um, vacation mode, and those last 3 days, there's going to be a lot of people. Those last 3 days in between the two holidays, I'm saying, so the 28th, 29th, and 30th. There's going to end the 31st. Really, there's going to be people thinking about the new year for sure, for sure. Um, what you're going to find though is if you close, for example, if you close 5 clients that week, even though it's a short week, you can close that many, no problem. And then you're going to find if you close 5 that week, the next week you'll probably close in follow up, which we'll talk about in a second. You'll probably end up closing as many as that or more without having to make any new phone calls, any new emails, just following up with the people you've already spoken to because they're now, some people react. A fair amount of people react to the new year prior to the new year, right? Reacting meaning they make a change, they make a choice, and a fair amount of people do it right after the new year because it's like, ah, fuck, you know, New Year's Day. You know what I mean? I gotta really, I gotta do something because it is now the new year, right? That kind of a thing. This year, I think there's much more anticipation. I think you would agree that this year be over for a lot of different reasons, and it is what it is on that, right? Actually, I got a meme for that. Here you go.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, so you're going to have some follow up to do the following week. Obviously, that doesn't count for December Dash, but if you dash all the way up to and through the 31st, you're going to pull in a decent amount of clients from the first half, and then the next half. I won't say you can just sit on your ass and do nothing, but if you did, then you'd still be able to pull clients if you did the follow up well, which is kind of nice. That said, I mean, my whole point was the next 2 weeks, including today on, right, from today on, are the last 2 full weeks of the year. The last 2 full weeks of the year. And then the following 2 weeks again are short weeks, what we call short weeks. And it's just weird how it works like that. Next year, um, let's see. Next year, sorry, I had to click over to the December 2021. Christmas Eve is on Friday, so they're both short weeks next year as well, but it's 4 days in each week, which is interesting. So, and you get, I mean, if you count the 29th and 30th of November, the first, second, third, you technically get like a half a week extra. So if you counted that whole week, you're counting 2 days of November, yes, but those are 2 days that are after Black Friday, right? Which is nice. So we're talking 1, 2, 3 solid weeks, and then 2 4-day weeks. That's a much better setup than this year. Not that this year's horrible, but again, and then 2022. Now Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are on Saturdays, so you've got a full work week in terms of bank holidays and shit like that. So if the banks are open, you bet your ass, especially in a December 2022 scenario, you're going to have these are things that I look at, by the way, in case you're wondering. And why do I look at them? Because it's nice to know, okay, um, what year do or what day of the week does my birthday fall on? And do I want to do anything for my birthday? Some years I don't. Um, what year, what day, I say what year, what in this upcoming year or the next couple of years, what does it look like for Christmas and this and that? And my brain is a little bit weird. I tend to store stuff like that. So I'm going to be able to, if somebody were to talk to me about um, this December versus what I think is going to happen next December and patterns and trends, I can give them at least an idea of what I'm thinking because of just how the days are laid out and because I looked at it right real quick. Because it doesn't take me much to click the mouse like a couple dozen times to get back to uh, this month, right, on my calendar. So anyway, um, follow up. So follow up's actually very important. A lot of people underestimate it, and when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about pretty much everybody. Um, if you're not following up multiple times, like I wouldn't even necessarily keep account. I would track it, yeah. So yeah, you're keeping account technically, like I said, but I wouldn't limit it if that makes sense. Like keep account, keep track, but don't limit your follow-ups. Constantly follow up, and I don't mean every day. Um, you could do every day, but follow-ups are important. They're key because they show people, hey, you're real. It gives you a chance to get back in front of the people that need to be able to see that before they make their excuse me, a bit snotty today because I got my sinuses going on. Um, the your clients or potential clients need to see, some of them need to see uh, that you're around and going to be around and that you're serious and that you still don't sound like a telemarketer the next day, right? Um, it's just how it goes, right? And what if I told you that picture the number of clients you want to pick up. So for example, let's say your goal this month is to pick up 10 clients or 20 clients. What if I told you that was only a third of the clients that you could pick up, right? And the other two-thirds was from follow-up. What if I told you that? Now, take the what if out and understand that's exactly what I'm telling you. Like, you have to, let me look at the camera on this one. You have to understand with, with follow-up, uh, you can pull twice as much business as you originally do out of the gate. That's what I want you to understand. And if you're not doing any kind of follow-up consistently, then you're leaving most of your money on the table and most of your clientele on the table. So don't be that guy, right? There's plenty of those guys and those gals out there that will be that already. Everybody else listening to this, don't be that guy or that gal, okay? Plenty of others to take your place on that on doing that kind of shit, okay? Don't be that person. Um, I don't know why people do that or not. Let's say, I don't know why people don't believe in follow up or don't believe in follow up enough to actually act on it. Saying you do and doing it, two different things in a lot of people's cases. Um, and never have I ever seen uh, someone who didn't implement a consistent follow up not pull a ton of business. And everybody's like, well, how do you get 30 clients in a month? There you go. Okay, I just gave you the keys to the kingdom, and it's mostly in the follow up. One of the things that I like to do in my follow ups, especially like if I know that they're on the fence or if it was a red hot conversation the first time or the second time, or I can hear the light bulbs coming on, right? Maybe it's six times in I'm talking to somebody, but they're showing interest, much more interest now, or trying to figure out some things, right? And they're trying to process. So if I see that, then a lot of times what I'll use is uh, what do I need to do to earn your business? And this is not something to use out of the gate because it's not as effective. But definitely further in the follow up process, it's going to be very useful because it's kind of like, hey, listen, I'm gonna keep calling. I'm gonna keep talking to you. I'll answer any questions you got. I'll help you as best I can, but let's be straight with each other, okay? I got phone calls. They got to go somewhere. You need more business. We've had that talk. You're apprehensive. That's why we start small, right? You run through all these different reasons and things that you discuss up to that point. You say, tell me what I've got to do to earn your business. I want your business. And you say, I mean, you don't have to say it like an asshole or anything. You just say it, and not forcefully, but say it with conviction, like you're going for like you're up for an Oscar. You know what I mean? And you're not acting, but you are showing your genuine interest, right? So think of it, if you are acting, you're method acting, right? So you actually, when you're crying, you're actually crying, that kind of a thing. Um, but instead of crying, be serious, right? Be genuine. I want your business. Tell me what I've got to do to earn your business. Let me show you what we can do for you. And then just shut up and wait and let them kick it around and say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. And you're like, done. Let's get it going. And that's when business happens. It doesn't always happen that way. However, if you are genuine, like I said, and you mean that, it's going to show through, especially after you keep following up and with your clients or potential clients rather. So that's something to consider. Um, Again, follow up is super important. Do not underestimate it. Use it, knowing it's potent and important and effective and efficient versus using it as such. Uh, Two different things, right? Use it. Use it or lose it. And by the way, when you lose your clients, your potential clients rather, you're not losing them to nothing. You're not losing them to me either. You're losing them to your competition, right? Think about that. All right. Okay. So I covered all that. Cool. Let's grab a Zoom link. I see some questions I'm going to answer here in just a second. Let me grab that Zoom link. We'll do some attendance for those that are left. And I did check the post this morning. Let me make sure this is the right, that's not the right post. Hold on. I have to refresh the Facebook feed here. Ooh, where are you? There you are. All right, so I'm going to post this Zoom link into the comments. Again, this is in the Facebook group for Ring Ads. If you'd like to join the Ring Ads Facebook group, it's free to join. Just go to Facebook, type in @Ring Ads Official, and you'll find the page. You'll find the Ring Ads Paper Call group. And again, free to join. But the Zoom link is posted in the comments of this live stream. Remember, we're live streaming to several different places. So, but there's the Zoom link. You can come in live, ask your questions, and while that's going on, I'm going to do attendance. So what I need you to do is in that same exact stream that I just described, which is the stream inside the Facebook group that's free to join. For those of you that need attendance here, I'm looking at the names and everything. You're going to want to type out a comment that says follow up is key. Key. Follow up is key. Follow up is key. You type that in, and I'll take attendance, and we'll be golden. So let me pull this over here while the delay happens. I'll be able to track attendance that away. So follow up is key. Yes, it is. There's Steve. Christina, Scott. Very good. Miro, you are not on the list from original day one, but I appreciate you anyway. Robert Kornick, Tim Blank, Julian Alexander, you had a day where I didn't see you yesterday. I did not see you yesterday. Art, Adrian, Garrett, John. Art, Adrian, Garrett, John. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody else. So we're missing, let's see, Jeff Brewer, Bob Lee. We're missing John Hackwood, Ken. Well, those are from yesterday as well, so we're not missing those. I mean, they missing them from yesterday. So, and they didn't tune in. Julian, I'm missing you from yesterday, so today's not going to count. Who else? Muhammad, I thought I saw you in here earlier. Might want to write follow up as key in a comment into the Facebook live stream here, and I'll be able to mark you present officially. Jerry Clark. Jerry's caught up except for today, so I didn't see anything from Jerry either. So Jerry, Muhammad, Bob Lee, Jeff Brewer, you guys are still in the running. If you can get follow up as key in the comments under the main Facebook group live stream, right? That comment field. Looks like we have Amer in the Zoom room, so I'm going to let Amer in, and please mute yourself before you come in, Amer, and also mute your Facebook feed because I'm going to answer a couple questions on the comments and then come into the Zoom, okay? And Art, friendly reminder, since you're commenting and here and tuning in, you want to make sure that you send in the verified client stuff to the Facebook group because you're missing about 50 points. Right now, all I've got for client number 6 is a call recording. That's it. There's no verified client information. So no post, no verified revenue. And so if the revenue was $300, that's 30 points. 10 points for the post and 10 points for the screenshot. So that's 50 points that you're missing that you could easily have on the tracking. Okay. Oh, Muhammad's resending follow-up is key. Cool. I guess I just missed it. And I always go back and check the replay anyway for comments right after we're done. So, but I've got you now marked, Muhammad. Okay. Jerry Clark. Art, it's nothing you send. You post it in the group, right? You've done 5 of these already. You know the deal. Jerry Clark, I'm not hearing from you yet. Scott Moody, oh no, Scott, I got you. Jeff Brewer and Bob Lee and Jerry Clark. Jeff Brewer, Bob Lee, Jerry Clark. Those are the ones I need to hear from. Follow up is key in the comments of the main Facebook group. And I'm not going to wait around on you forever or anything. I just want to make sure, you know, I'm getting messages, not a ton or anything, but I am getting messages of people that are, hey, you know, I'm not counted in that. I didn't see that, and it's either they missed a day, they weren't there the first day, or whatever it is. But we've already lost, and this is kind of expected. Just again, based on people's schedules and everything, I understand, right? It's not. Listen, folks, this is the Show Up Grow Up Award. It's an award. The object of the game is to get here more often live than not. That's it. And for those of you who make it all the way through, you get an award. I mean, pretty simple, but just because you miss one day doesn't mean you should miss all the rest. I mean, you should definitely still be tuning in. But for right now, I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 left out of the original 19. 13, so we've lost 6 people from day one, and we're not even a weekend fully yet. Miro, you want a reward? Cool. You can get an award. You can, and prizes as well. In fact, there's plenty of stuff that you can get. Let me see if I can pull up the December dash for you, and not go through every single slide, but I'm going to show you some things that that'll kind of help you understand what's up for grabs. You know, you've got the Show Up Grow Up Award, which started on December 1st. You weren't around in attendance, so you're not going to qualify for that one. That's okay though, because there's things like the Individual Achievement Awards for 5 clients, 10 clients, 20 clients, 30 clients, and obviously as you're using, there's rules that go along with this. I've covered all this before in previous sessions. You can find it. I'm also going to do an individual video on this just so that it's crystal clear what's up for grabs. But you can see as you get more clients, there's cash involved, all kinds of stuff like that. There's also things like if you have the most clients, you're going to get cash money, Dollar Central credit, which actually helps you run the business. Still get some swag, right, on top of that. And again, of course, there's rules in place for all that kind of stuff. There's a first, second, third place for total client count, so it's not first place only. And then there's got their first award, which Art has got their first on the 5 client award, but the 10 client, 20 client, 30 client awards are still wide open. Okay. And there's a ton of, if you notice, like for 30 clients, that's $1,000 cash, $300 Dollar Central credit. That's almost a month's worth of running on Dollar Central full speed. So $1,300 worth of currency. That's not bad. Plus some swag. It's always nice. And then we have things like the Best New Performance Award for people that are located in the U.S. building their agency. Same as the Komodo Award, which is for people not located in the U.S. building their pay-per-call agency. And you'll notice there's a ton of stuff there, as well as some cash and some unique offers like the Ring Ads Mentorship Founding Member Access. That's not something I sell, by the way. I sell mentorship access, yes, but founding member access, no. Right? Never. Well, I won't say never sold that. Obviously, I sold it at some point when we founded, right? When we started, but that was late 2019, and I'm not ever going to sell founders ever, right? I'm never going to sell that. I told the founding members I'm not going to do that, and they know that. But there's nothing that says that someone who doesn't completely bust their ass and do very big things inside of the December Dash, that they haven't earned a spot. And I think they would agree with that. They welcome you with open arms, actually, because you're a producer, right? And that's cool. That's good. There's also things like the Lego Man Award, again, high up there. Lots of stuff. But again, got to follow instructions to a T. This one's going to be very difficult. Like even successful agency owners and builders aren't going to be able to do this. Not because I'm such a stickler either, right? I mean, the shit I ask for is extremely simple. And yet for some reason, most people can't be asked out to follow instructions to a T. I don't know what that's about, but I'm rewarding that behavior because obviously anytime anybody's ever been in alignment with me for any length of time, they've seen results and there's a reason for that. Okay. It's not because I'm a voodoo doll. It's because I know what works. Okay. And then of course points are awarded in the ways that they're awarded. I'm not going to cover all this. It's already been covered. And again, previous sessions, but that should give you some information on the December Dash and how you can get awards. So you're still very much in the running for a ton of stuff, depending on where you're located, either in the U.S. or not in the U.S. You're still up for either the Best New Performance or the Komodo Award. The Lego Man Award is still up for grabs. The total client count, first, second, third place. The Individual Achievement Awards, 5, 10, 20, 30 clients that got their first awards, 10, 20, 30 clients are left. And I wouldn't worry about the attendance. I would just show up because that's going to be a big part of it. So you're here now. What you choose to do with that, that's the rub, right? That's the key. Okay, let me pull over the attendance here. Okay. Comments. Oh, by the way, if you have questions or need some guidance on whatever you're working on, could be anything from setup, agency setup, market research, prospecting calls, setting up for the week like I just covered with you, industry specific questions, short of me giving you all the answers to your market research. I don't want to do that because you need to be doing that. You got to earn that. Then ask away in the comments section, of course, if you have questions, or you can come in live. Amir, I see you in the Zoom. Just give me a second. I've got a couple of questions in the comments, and then you and I will jump in, and I'll be able to help you out. It's been a while since I've seen you, man. Okay. Hi, just a couple of quick questions. This is from Adrian. Adrian Cumber, Kempton Cumber. Okay. We have a few Adrians. So I want to make sure I specify who. Just a couple quick questions. Is the usual Monday rule applied at the moment to prospecting, i.e., we don't call AM local time. Yeah, it's not a rule, it's more of a guideline. Every Monday morning, no matter what, uh, even if somebody's working on a holiday, every Monday morning, you're going to have more people than not doing what we call the weekend catch up, where all the stuff that's flooded in over the weekend, they're catching up on Monday morning, or they set appointments or sales meetings or meetings in general Monday morning to guide them the rest of the week. And so Monday's just like half of Monday, if not more, but really the first half of Monday is just pure, okay, let's get our shit together and get moving again or get caught up on what we were doing last week and where we're headed this week. And usually, uh, businesses are full steam into whatever it is they like. If they actually have any kind of focus whatsoever as a company culture, usually they're full steam on that by Tuesday night, early Wednesday, right? And it's crazy, I know, because the next thing you know, they take a break over the weekend and then they wash, rinse, repeat, and then they only have a couple days of the week. So really, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's only half of Friday, the first half of Friday, our business is really pushing hard, right? Not always, but again, mind you, more corporate mindset that way. But that is very much the case even in smaller businesses because while they're not corporate in a lot of cases, um, they are human. And anytime, I'll give you an example. Anytime you break concentration, I don't care who you are, how you operate, um, what you take as supplements or medications or anything, if something distracts you. So one of the main reasons I talk about distraction all the time, like, hey, I'm not distracted. I'm actually looking at different screens, and it might seem like I'm distracted, but I've got a backup screen here. I've got my streaming software screen here. I've got Facebook here, and then I've got things like Zoom and the Restream chat and all that here. So I'm using all four screens for one task. Now, if something were to distract me outside of what I'm doing and I look away, and I don't mean look out the window because looking out the window actually helps me with my creative thinking process a lot of times. It's weird, I know, but it does. It's what I do. One of the things I do. However, it doesn't distract me. Sometimes I just plain forget where I'm at. And in order for me to get back into the groove of what I'm talking about and training on or um, getting into, like, if I'm recording training, for example, man, getting interrupted costs me like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right, to get back into the groove every time there's an interruption. So like I always do like an on air thing, like I have an on air sign. I don't mess with me. Like that's the mode I get into. And the other thing is if I get interrupted, um, I don't like completely go the fuck off when I'm doing something important, but I do make sure that people know that there's a set of procedures to actually contact me and reach out to me. And in most cases, it's something like a message, right? And unless somebody's bleeding out on the sidewalk or something, or it's the end of the world and we got to find shelter, it can wait. It can wait. You figure it out, right? It can wait. And then we'll have an after action report and you'll come back to me and I'll help you tweak it for next time so that you do it better next time. But that's how you create independent employees and workers and all that kind of stuff and keep your focus throughout the day as you hire and train people, by the way. So yeah, that's what I do. It's another reason why I don't like having all of my personal contact information out there all the time. I guess I could do that, and I guess people could bother the shit out of me, but then I wouldn't get hardly anything done compared to what I get done. So super important to not get distracted um, and keep your focus because it will cost you 20, sometimes 30 minutes, and there's been studies done on that. No matter if you're multitasking or not, I don't consider multitasking being part of a distraction. I mean, you could have. I'll give you another good example. Some people can do this, some people can't. Totally okay, but just be aware of what your strengths are and work with them. Right? If your strength is working on one thing and one thing only until it's done, then go do that. Right? For me, a lot of times that's the case. there are, especially if it's a what I call like a heavy load or a load intensive task. So if I'm creating a sales video or I'm doing a live stream, I'm not really doing anything else. If you notice, I'm doing a live stream. I have hard enough time looking at the camera all the time as it is. Um, and I digress. The point is, uh, it's a heavy load, right? If I am working on, for example, after I'm done with this call, right? It's gonna load up as a recording, and then I'm gonna take that recording, I'm gonna drop and drag it over into Google Drive, and then in the background, it's gonna load up everything over to Vimeo, and I got to do all the settings over there. But that comes, I can't just sit here. I guess I could sit here and wait on it and watch it, watch paint dry, watch it load to Google Drive, and then watch it come over to Vimeo automatically, and then watch it once it's uploaded there. Then okay, now I can do something. Or I can multitask, which is, hey, I'm going to drag drop that recording over here, and then I'm going to go back to working on slides or training for this. And then when I get the notification pop up on Vimeo over here, it's going to be like, uh, when I get there, right? And now I didn't break my train of thought at all. I'm still working on my slides until I peter out. Like I'm balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, whatever you want to say. I'm going, and it's done, and it looks good, and it's what I need. Great. Oh yeah, Vimeo, and I grabbed that, and so yeah, there's things going on in the background in a lot of cases what I'm working on, but not every case. There's cases like where it's load intensive or time commitment where I've committed that time to be here, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Um, anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Um, Notice though, for me, there's not really a time frame. I kind of got off the track there and how to work effectively. But the question was Monday rule. Monday mornings are horrible. Most people do catch up, right? They do the catch up thing. For me, I try to do that on Sundays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That way, my Monday is wide open because I have other things, other commitments like the mentorship call on Monday. And tomorrow, I have not just the mentorship call, but this call as well. So I have this call, which has to only go an hour because at 12 o'clock, I've got the mentorship call. And sometimes those calls go quite a while, depending on who needs help and how many people need help and what they need help on. And then that frees me up to be able to do that and focus on that 100%. Um, and the rest of the week is the rest of the week, right? Because I've already prepped for it and done my catch up prior to the week starting on Monday. Number two, second question, should I take a payment on Stripe to test my account to check the Stripe payment works properly? Wouldn't be a bad idea. The first thing I would do is if you're using ClickFunnels like I teach you to do, and that's integrated with your Stripe account, do a test mode purchase first and see if that goes through the test mode purchase, because you will be able to see test data on your Stripe account if you select test data. And again, Stripe has great documentation on how to do that, as well as ClickFunnels on how to do a test mode purchase. And then if you want to do like just make a quick product that's like $1 or something, and test it out yourself. And then obviously you're going to need to go back in and delete that product after you've successfully tested it. But yeah, there's multiple ways you can test it on the test mode and on the live mode. Just don't refund the money. Let it run through the system and all that. Would not be a good idea to refund the money on a brand new account like that. Art Sandy totally agrees about the follow-up. 5 out of 6 of his clients sold had multiple calls. I agree. It's not always a one-call close. That's what we go for. By the way, Art, you should have more you should have more than that on one call close. If you don't have that, you really need to start reviewing your numbers to understand in call recordings to understand what you're missing. But most likely it's going to come down to a few things like not enough urgency, um, not enough confidence in the offer. And I understand you're just starting back up on the client acquisition. So again, that may be why your follow-up is doing better than your one call closes. However, I'm telling you right now, just based out of 6 clients, your one call close number is off by about half, right? you're missing a couple. A couple of those should have been one call closes. And I don't mean should have been as in go back and be sad about it. I mean should have been as in go back and figure out why and make sure that that doesn't happen moving forward, because the next 6 clients you pull in, you need to be pulling 3 in one call close and 3 with follow up, or 2 at least one call close and 4 in follow up. That's more along the lines of the numbers, but to average it out, 3 and 3 would be much better on the next 6 that you pull. These are things that I look at. These are things that I evaluate. These are things you need to look at, things you need to start evaluating. Okay. And if you're not still doing your numbers and tracking, I don't know what to do with you. So don't be that guy. Because that guy's stumbling around in the dark and doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Clients or not, doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And guess what? If you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground, you're gonna fall in the hole. That's how it happens. Muhammad says follow up is key. Yes, it is. 100%. I made a joke. I already marked you a present. Appreciate you. Well, I see that he posted it, and I also see that he posted art inside of the main stream. Okay. It looks like one other question. Adrian's asking, Adrian Bryan, excuse me. Told you we had multiple Adrians, didn't I? What is the minimum amount of actual phone? You're not seeing it on the comment section from Restream, but I see it over here on the Facebook group. What is the minimum amount of actual phone conversations with prospects that you would recommend daily to get a decent amount of clients? I'm aiming for 50 plus calls a day, even with a 1% close rate. That's 10 clients at the end of the month. What do you suggest? P.S. I'm not sure what is a good versus bad closing rate percentage. I'm not sure if a 1% close rate is good or bad. 1% is not great. 1% is something you would probably expect off of some other kind of lead generation, Adrian. What I would say is you should have, if you have 50 phone calls a day, you got to break down the numbers based on how you track. But the idea is this: if you had 50 phone calls a day come in, half of them are going to be decision makers. So there's 25 decision makers, and out of 25 decision makers, half of them are going to qualify by saying yes, they need more business, and answering the qualifying questions correctly, roughly half. Right, so there's 12 and a half, round down or up. We'll round down in this case, keep the number even. So 12 business owners, decision makers, rather, that are 100% a fit for what you're looking for as a client. So now you've got 12 people that you're pitching, right? So 12 pitches, and out of 12 pitches, a good starting closing rate is 1 in 7, which 1 in 7 is like 16%. Isn't that right? No, 14? Yeah, it's like 14%. Excuse me. So 14% close rate is where you start, if you notice, from the total number, not out of the 50, obviously, but out of the total pitches that you make, 1 in 7. Okay, that's how we calculate that. You can get as good as 1 in 3 easily, even 1 in 2 as you get things super dialed in. But that comes from referral business. That comes from a lot of different things where you've already got a couple dozen clients or more, and you're really cooking, right? But out of 50 a day, conversations a day, that's the numbers you'd end up with, 12 pitches. And at a 1 in 6 rate, that's 2 clients a day, right? So 2 clients a day. I mean, if you were to do 50 conversations a day, which 50 conversations a day sounds easy. It's not. It's not. I would say for a 2-hour window, you're probably going to have about 20 conversations a day. So to have 50, it's about 10 an hour, roughly. No more than 15, right? And that's, keep in mind, it's going to average out. But 10 to 15 an hour. If you did 10 an hour to be conservative, you're looking at 5 hours. And I just told you, anything beyond 4 hours every day, you're going to burn out fucking quick. I've seen people burn out in a couple days. I've seen people last a few weeks doing that, but they all burn out. Don't be that guy. Be the guy who does this, it sets up 2 4-hour windows a week or 3 4-hour windows a week, and that's 12 hours of prospecting, which is 10 pitches, excuse me, 10 conversations an hour. That's 120 conversations a week, 120 conversations a week. That's 60 decision makers. And keep in mind, these are the rough numbers, right? If you're a little bit under, a little bit over, use this as a guideline, not as an absolute rule or something, okay? 60 decision makers, and then out of that half is going to be 30 people that qualify, 30 decision makers that qualify, and roughly 30 pitches. And out of 30 pitches, if your close rate's 1 in 5, there's 6 clients for the week. That averages 1 client a day minus Sundays a week, right? You're almost at 1 client a day for the month, including all weekends. That's crazy cool, right? What if your close rate's 1 in 5, 1 in 4, excuse me, and you've got 30 pitches? Now you are talking 1 a day, right? For the month, 1 a day. And that's with what? 12 hours of prospecting. You follow what I'm saying? Versus, and you're able, by the way, 12 hours spread out over the week like that, you're going to be able to do that every week this month. And by every week, I mean physically be able to do that. You're not going to have to worry about burnout. Now, if you were to go at it and do, I've seen people do this where they'll go 5, 6 hours, and keep in mind, the more tired you get, the more you forget stupid, simple shit that I teach you all the time, like have the script in your hand. You know how many times I've talked to somebody who's been calling 5, 6 hours and where's your script? Oh, well, and I see them on camera trying to find it, and I'm like, you know, like that's the kind of shit that wouldn't happen if they weren't so tired or strung out or burnt out. Is what causes that burnout. So don't be that guy, right? Um, don't be that guy. And also, it's not just finding the script. There's many other things that can happen, like, oh, they forget to say some things. They start adding things. Um, too many phone calls will burn you out, right? So, and too fast of a pace will burn you out. But a client today is a solid, easy win, average, no problem with 12 hours of prospecting. That means the rest of your time. I mean, if you spent 2 hours a week, uh, 5 days a week, you're talking 10 hours, yeah. But you've got the weekends. You'd be able to set everybody up, have them all running, and still be able to pull in like a client today 5 days a week, no problem, you know, with those numbers. So hopefully that helps to answer your question on close rate, percentages, and all that kind of stuff. 10 clients by the end of the month is super, super easy to achieve uh, without having to do 50 calls a day. Okay, 100%. Christina's asking, how do you justify yourself for following up if during these calls you gave a sense of urgency? These calls need to go somewhere right now. Well, they still need to go somewhere. That means to them that you haven't found somebody for them to go to, right? Or you tell them the calls are still coming in. They have to go somewhere. I'd much rather them go to you. Again, tell me what I got to do to earn your business. There's no need to justify yourself, right? Right? That tells me where your head's still at. Your head's not in with what you're selling. You're trying to make it about you as opposed to what you're selling. We had that conversation the other day, Christina. Definitely take this to heart and reread your question and the language that you use, because you need to stop worrying about justifying yourself and understanding that the calls justify themselves, right? Um, there's really nothing else other than that for you left to embrace. I don't believe, and so I'm anxious to see where you're at and everything on the process and getting on the phone hopefully this week. Um, okay, I think we're good with questions in the comments. I could be wrong on that. If I missed your question, please repost it, and I should be able to see that. Amir, are you there? Amir, are you there? I see that you're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, hey.
Hi. Good to be back. To be frank, I was a bit away because there were some initial setup issues, and I had set aside a month to allocate myself to this. I just need advice on the following. I saw that you're doing this dash, and I just don't know if I can put in all that time which you are saying right now.
Okay.
For a person like me who wants to do it but at a different pace, what would you recommend?
And when you say all that time, how much time do you think it takes?
Um, for example, the canvassing, uh, um, about 4 hours, 3 times a week.
Oh, that's for somebody who has the time. For somebody who doesn't, it's 2 hour windows minimum, right? And
Mm-hmm.
ideally, you would want to string two or three of those together. So you don't have to do 4 hours a day. That question, that answer was in response to what Adrian Bryan was asking, which at 50 calls a day would have been 5 hours based on
Mm-hmm.
his question. So again, very specific information, not meant for everyone. um,
Sorry.
that's
Okay.
okay. It's
I
okay.
I misunderstood
That's
that.
okay. It's why I'm explaining it as clearly as possible as I can now. Um, 2 hour windows though at a minimum. You don't ever want to call for an hour and then be done. Call for two
Mm-hmm.
hours straight. And if you can do that twice a week, 3 times a week, then do it. All right?
Okay, that's a good answer. I can live with that and do that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Is that it?
Yeah, that was it. Frankly,
Okay.
I would have had other things to ask if your answer was different.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the rest of the stuff can be done obviously in the off hours or in the down moments, right? Where you're taking a
Mm-hmm.
break or it's overnight or whatever it is. All the client setup stuff can be done. Um, yeah, it's mainly the calling hours that you have to string together. And I've worked with people that had to go to work at 9 a.m. and was able to still find them a couple hours of a window. Now that couple hours was them in their car with the script in their hand and the phone in the other or a headset, but and they're parked at their place of work. You know what I mean? To where they
Yep.
can run for 2 hours. And it's at the beginning of their day when the family's not really going to miss them anyway. They're busy doing what they got to do, like get ready for school, get ready for their
Mm-hmm.
job, all that kind of stuff. So they're not going to miss dad, right, or mom. Um, and then those 2 hours are done for prospecting. So when you come home, you can do it like an hour of follow up and maybe some work later in the night after the kids are in bed. But the rest of the time is family time. You still have time to
Okay.
decompress and spend time with the family. It's not like and I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. It's not like I'm saying you got to sacrifice anything and everything in your entire life. You obviously have to be willing to do what most won't. And what most won't be willing to do, by the way, if they work a full time job, is spend a couple hours before or after their job shift, right? Um, Working on this in order to not sacrifice family time, right? Most people aren't willing to do things like that. So if you're willing to do something like that and string that together, then here's the good news for you. It's not forever. It's not a forever thing. Um, I mean, and take that for what it's worth. If it's not forever, then that means the more I do it, the faster it's going to be. I'm going to be in a better position to have much more time, right? If I don't want to work the JLB after this, so totally up to you. But again, um, hopefully that makes sense.
That answers. Thank you. Just a couple of follow-ups. Number
Sure.
one, you're still because I wasn't in the last session, so you're still the strategy is to stay focused on the U.S. market, correct?
100%.
Okay,
100%.
good. And the second and final question, follow-up question is, I had previously been allocated a niche to which I simply couldn't befriend myself with. Okay, I
Okay.
am I am interested in the dental niche.
Okay.
Um, what would you say are the difficulties there versus the home or emergency home
Well,
services
there's
niche?
quite a few. First off, in most cases, you're going to be dealing with an office manager and not the dentist themselves. And the office manager is not only going to control that entire interaction, but be your direct link to the dentist, right? Um, and depending on what that office manager's responsibilities are, those range from actually pulling in the business to everything dealing with the business as it comes through the door. So they could already be doing their own thing on the marketing side or already have people in place for marketing and not be open to any marketing whatsoever.
Hmm.
Um, your objective is going to be to find people that are in the front office, uh, able to take the phone calls from you, and not only able to take the phone calls from you, but open to taking the phone calls from you, and doing so without a ton of back and forth, which tends to happen in medical fields. Think elective surgery, driving phone calls for that. Think dental, even if it's not cosmetic dental, there's still going to be, depending on, again, dental is a very big field, right? We're talking everything from cosmetic to orthodontists to emergency and just
And I
general.
thought we were, yeah, and I thought for pay per call we are obviously only focused on the emergency bit.
Yeah, well, not okay. A lot of people latch onto that. In terms of what I
Mm.
teach you, it's emergency and anything that's in high demand, right? Or high
Hmm.
need or want. So cosmetic is not as in high demand. However, the volume, the not volume, the tickets are there. It's high ticket, so a little bit lower volume, but definitely worth it for a cosmetic dentist to pull in all kinds of people that want veneers. Absolutely, like that's big money for them. Um, any kind of general dentistry, yeah, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be as urgent. Nobody's gonna use your phone ads. Hardly anybody's gonna use your phone ads to schedule a checkup. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Hmm.
they go there for things like toothaches, cavities, um, tooth extraction. Gosh, what else? A bunch of different stuff. The whole point is abscesses, wisdom
Root
teeth,
canal treatment, yeah.
root canal, which is pretty much in the cavity field. So
Hmm.
there's a bunch of different stuff like that. Yes, chipped tooth. Um,
Hmm.
those are all things that, yeah, they're on the emergency level, and you would start there, but then you would expand out with them. You should be expanding out with them to the general stuff, which is less urgent. But in order to fill their book and keep them happy, and not just keep them happy, but keep their book full so that they know you're the guy to go to always for business, then you're going to need to expand into the general stuff, and it is less urgent, and so therefore it will cost a bit more. There are documented case studies in dentistry using call ads. They're a little bit dated now, but they're still very they still very much demonstrate the fact that you can be successful in that vertical. The challenge is this: uh, you're talking about a vertical that, I mean, it's almost as if attorneys are easier to reach. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's something you're going to have to expect and work with and not say, well, I'm calling, I'm making calls and I'm not getting anybody. And some of the traditional methods that I teach are not going to work with reaching out to dentists, which means you're probably going to have to reach out manually, cold, right? Or via
Mm.
email, cold, which email is fine. I've got you covered on that. But cold on the phone, it's not the same as
Tough.
wireless voicemail and voice broadcasting. It's a little bit tougher. And if you've never done this before, or you not cut your teeth, then yeah, you're up shit creek without a paddle. You're going to be in for a harder time. Does that mean that you can't make it up the shit creek without a paddle? No. It means you're going to get a little shit on you. I know that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you're in a shit creek, so you're gonna have trouble getting up that creek. Is it impossible? No, absolutely not. You're just not gonna smell the nicest when you get to your destination. That's all, right? And you're gonna be tired. Um, is it? Keep in mind, not impossible, not even unlikely, but compared to everything else I teach, that's the question you asked. Dentistry is what
Mm.
you chose, you said, right? So,
That's what I would like to do, yes.
okay,
But
but
based on
why?
what you're saying, because I have so many other upsells in the dental field because I have a lot of dental clients.
I see. Okay. So you have a lot of dental clients. Well, then here's what I would say. Find a field that's related or even not even related necessarily, but something that's like dentistry, that is what I recommend, right? So something in
Hmm.
like even something like health insurance, life insurance. I know that sounds crazy, but here's the idea: like health insurance is pretty close.
Hmm.
It's not 100%, but it's a hell of a lot closer than plumbing, right? Or HVAC. Um,
Hmm.
and if you do that, you cut your teeth, you build up your financial resources, you build up the agency on the pay per call side, and then you can transition over to use you can use that to leverage so that you're not starting out of the gate completely frustrated. Maybe that's why
Hmm.
you haven't had the success you wanted to have up to this point with the agency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I'm quite successful on the other side of things,
I meant pay per
but
call
not on
agencies
this. Yeah,
specifically.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, because I was trying. Well, I was trying to befriend myself with a niche I got, which I simply couldn't befriend myself with. I just found it very difficult to deal with people in that niche.
Okay. And
Mhm.
I have no idea what to tell you about that because that's very vague. But I can.
Well, it was the locksmith niche which I got,
Okay.
and I just found it very, very difficult to get along with. Just couldn't
Really?
befriend myself. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was difficult
Really.
about it?
Uh, well, maybe because I'm so used to dealing with people like dentists who are educated and you can have a reasonable discussion with them. I was finding a lot of people in this niche to be very, um, let's say, impolite. Also, I felt that the per lead value was lower than maybe some in some other niches, which probably drove the amount of revenue you could get for each call to be lower than maybe some of the other niches. And then on top of that, you have this Google guaranteed thing, which was showing up everywhere, which was also um, taking its toll. And then at that time, Google put in some more requirements to validate uh, the locksmiths, and it was just a mess. And so I just, I that was shit creek. I went had to go up with on, in my opinion. And that's why I was thinking, well, if I could just stay close to what I know, which is dentistry or dental marketing. Granted, I'm doing it in the UK, but if I'm trying to enter the US market with your service, the pay-per-call service you are teaching, then I was thinking it might be an idea to consider that.
Okay. Couple of things that you're going to have to, excuse me, I have horrible sinuses right now. A couple things you're going to have to consider then, based on if that's going to be your starting point, uh, dentistry. You're not going to be able to bootstrap this. And I'm not saying you're going to have to spend thousands or anything like that. I'm just saying do not carry or expectations of around with you that you're going to just bust this out of the gate. You've got a lot of
Hmm.
figuring out to do. Even though you know the industry, I'm telling you right now, you're going to not struggle with it, but you're going to have struggles. There's no doubt in my
Hmm.
mind. Even if you have clients in this field, because I'll tell you something, dentistry over there is not the same as dentistry over here. And if you need proof of
Correct.
that, do your market
No, no, I know
research.
that.
Okay, very
No,
good.
no, I know that. Yes.
Okay. The other
Mhm.
point I'd like to make is so that's the biggest thing I can give you is to tell you that it's not a bad vertical. It's just not something I recommend starting with. And because
Uh,
of that, you're not going to be able to bootstrap the way I
I'll
normally
I'll tell
teach.
you what. I think this was one of the most useful conversation I've had this week because um, I just have to now make a decision whether it is dentistry or whether it is in the emergency home services segment where I choose some other vertical which I can feel more at home with.
Well, again, if you're thinking more white collar, look at things that are health related. So health insurance, life insurance, those are, you know, I held a life insurance license a couple different times in my life, and I'm not saying they're more educated, but they tend to be more educated, and they tend to wear suits to work, or at least a shirt and tie in a lot of cases,
Mm.
or polos and khakis at the very least, and that's considered dress down for a life insurance agent. Um,
Mhm. Okay.
that's those people again more of a white collar profession, and they also have to have some kind of education because there's licensing involved, and that takes time in a classroom that is not considered university or grade school, right? So it's extra class, and there's a not like a super hard test or a really hard test, but a challenging test at the end of those things for
Mhm.
life insurance licensing and health insurance licensing. And they also have to know industry standards, industry changes, products and changes, uh, and the customer's needs and customer service. So there's a lot for them to keep up with. It's not really a uh, how do I say this nicely? Because I actually love the hell out of blue collar workers. Uh, well, let's face it, some of the things that they do, and they know this, and I think maybe even they're proud of it, and that's cool. Some of the things they do are very simple, very basic, just things that other people don't know how to do or do
Oh,
well, let's say.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any bias against that.
I understand.
I've worked in the roofers, and I really loved it.
Right.
Uh,
There,
so it's not that. It's just that I got a very bad niche, in my opinion, the last time, and that was allocated in that program, and so I had to stick with it. I had no choice, and I had to say yes. I'd had to commit, and it just didn't go anywhere because of all the other things, regulatory, let's call it, which happened. So I would be open to consider a blue collar um, niche, which you know tick more boxes of. I mean, because I don't want to make my life unreasonably difficult either.
I'm not saying I didn't say unreasonably. I think okay. Let's back up for a second. Um, Clear the slate. Okay.
Hmm.
If you're gonna go after dentists in the call world, okay, in the U.S. in pay per call, with what I teach and how I teach specifically, right? Maybe there's somebody else out there that loves dentists and can give you everything and hand you the keys to the kingdom. I can only hand you so much in that vertical out of the gate because you have not cut your teeth in anything else yet in the pay per call field,
Hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
Which means you're just not going to be able to bootstrap it. I didn't say unreasonably difficult. I said challenging, right?
Hmm.
There's going to be things that are going to be more difficult than. Notice I said more difficult than I'm comparing, right? More difficult than what I teach you originally to go after. So I'm not encouraging you one way or the other. It's still your decision to make. I just want you to see what I see, which is um, if you already have a successful agency and things going on in that field and you want to stick with it, I respect that. I'm not the kind of guy that would tell you just to um, change that, right? Unless you're not happy with that field, right? Now, if you're comfortable with that, you want to stick with that and grow that, okay. What I need you to understand is bootstrapping from ground zero using that specific vertical and many others like it, it's not a good idea, right? The same way
Hmm.
I would tell a real estate agent for Facebook calls, YouTube ads, to drive phone calls, it's the same kind of shit. Like, listen, if you're a real estate agent and you're living commission to commission, it's probably not a good idea for you to start with me, right? Or to work with me because you need to be able to, if you're learning from me rather, because not as a client, but as a teaching to a student, because if you do, you're bootstrapping from a place that's not designed for you to boot in a vertical that's not designed for you to bootstrap. It doesn't mean you have
Hmm.
to spend thousands and thousands, but there's going to be things that are going to be done differently in your processes. There's going to be a little bit of a different sales process. You're going to have to expect the multiple call close, not a one call close. You're going to have to do shit like set appointments, which I can't stand, but
Hmm.
other people can. That's again, you can get away with not setting appointments in white collar. At least I can because I insist on it. Right? Um,
Hmm.
doesn't always work to my advantage, but it is something I do to work it to my scheduling advantage so that technically it does work out for me in the end, even if I don't get the client because they were upset that they weren't able to set an appointment with me. There's a lot of nuances like that are going to pop up depending on your personality, how you deal with it. And again, I'm not asking, I'm just giving you all this rhetorically, okay? So you figure out what you need to figure out. Just understand dentistry is going to be more challenging. It's not going to be able to be bootstrapped. Um, and as long as you're okay with that and you're coming from a place of strength from what you already have in place, then go for it, right? I would say just go through the learning curve, skip the going after another vertical. That said, to clarify a couple things for everybody else listening about locksmiths. So, first off, it's higher call volume, right? Which means more calls come in. So that lower dollar value amount, it sounds like you didn't do enough market research, and you probably didn't based on the regulatory things you mentioned, um, which can also be worked around, by the way. The idea there is though you're going to have to get a client before you can actually run the call. So that vertical requires a little bit of a leap of faith. If you're the kind of person that needs a client to drive qualified calls before you, and keep in mind I'm speaking to everybody else in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're the kind of client that or kind of person that needs to have a client and qualified calls coming in before you go actually get clients, you have to have a fake client, then locksmiths is not a good vertical to go in because of the restrictions you just mentioned from call ads on
Mm-hmm.
locksmiths. It doesn't mean it's not a great vertical. It's actually a fantastic vertical. It's very profitable. Um, One of my more successful students is in that vertical and got his start with that vertical. And now he teaches people, and he may not be doing that great a job on that, but in terms of him implementing what he learned from me, he did very well to start out, to the tune of $250,000 within his first 8, 9 months. So yeah, that vertical is extremely profitable. Um, he came through my house and did 7 clients in like 3 days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The affiliate campaigns he was running were profitable before he even got to the house from my training. So I'm just saying, in that vertical, it's not only profitable, but the people are blue collar. They tend to be more direct and to the point because they think you're full of shit out of the gate. So I will give you that one. I will concede that point. Um, it is a bit more challenging to deal with someone if you're not used to maybe being called out when you're actually not doing anything wrong. Kind of guilty till proven innocent. I get that. Uh, at the same time, keep in mind these guys. If you're a locksmith, you deal with people you don't want to deal with, and I mean from all walks of life, like all in both ends of the spectrum, from uber wealthy pain in the ass clients uh, that want you to come to the house change out a lock to uh, totally sketchy areas in the middle of the night unlocking a car. And
Mm.
there's a lot of, and you're exposed to risk, and so they deal with a lot of the I won't say unsavory parts of people, but it's not their job is not exactly rainbows and unicorns. You know what I mean? That's just not
Mm-hmm.
it's just not the locksmith gig. Um, and a lot of times they end up dealing with issues on who's going to pay, and um, there's a lot of nightmares that those guys and gals go through. Um, Plus their techs and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. The that leads them to be a little bit more, how do I say, not jaded, because that makes it sound like they're just totally closed off from doing business. Let's say that their guard is up. I think that's a more accurate way to describe it. It may not feel like that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. Um, the regulatory thing was to prevent a lot of the scammers from taking money from people, or sometimes they would take money from people over the phone and then just not show up. And
Mm.
then there was another scam that was running that was pretty popular, which is from actual locksmith agencies. This is why the regulatory thing really kicked in, is because they need to verify that you're not only a good locksmith, but that you actually go to the fucking calls. But when
Mm.
you go to the calls, are you way overcharging? Like, you'll quote $50 over the phone, but when you get there, it's 300. What? Right?
Mm.
So that's one of the things that they look for, and are working on getting rid of. Which, by the way, a lot of their processes for confirming a locksmith company is not really gonna handle that last one as well, because they charge what they charge. You know what I mean? And Google's not going to be able to really have any kind of a say over that. So I'm not sure how long those restrictions will last, and they may be permanent. They say that they're temporary, but it's been a few years now, and it is what it is. I mean, we work with what we got, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad vertical. That said, you're not comfortable going after it, then I would say, because if you're coming from a place of strength, because I don't know that, I would say just go into dentistry and understand that you're not going to be able to bootstrap it. Start smartly though with the emergency stuff,
Yeah.
and expand into, with your clients, as you get more clients in, expand into the general dentistry and or cosmetic fields, and dental oral surgeons. Gosh, what's the designator for them? It's FA myofascial, but it's like myofascial surgery. It's like FACS. I'm pretty sure.
Uh, I
So they're
do
they're
not know
facial
about the US.
facial
Yeah.
surgeons. They're facial
Yes.
surgeons, right? So there's
Yeah. But
designator. Go ahead.
that's right. But that is a slightly different field than the, let's say, cosmetic dentistry
It
itself.
is, like I said,
Yeah.
expanded,
Yeah.
expansion,
Yeah.
expansion. I didn't say
Mm.
start with. I
Hmm.
said expansion. I said start with
Okay.
emergency, expand into general, expand into cosmetic, expand into facial surgery. Got it?
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah. That would be my like third or fourth step, definitely. Yeah. Before
correct.
that, there are lots of other things like implants and Invisalign and God knows what else, which is quite high, high paying um,
That's more
deals for
general.
dentists.
That's more
Hmm.
general and cosmetic, the things you just
Hmm.
mentioned. But start with emergency first. Emergency is going to be where you can prove yourself to the client and not get your foot in the door necessarily, but show them that you're real. And then it's
Hmm.
like, okay, well, what else can you do? It's kind of like, hey, here's this
Mm.
cool trick. And it's like, oh, great, you're a magician. What else can you do? Right? And then you do the other things that you can do for them. And that's going to make you the money with those clients. But it's not going to be something that can be bootstrapped. Um, and I'll tell you, client acquisition is going to be different. It's going to be a little bit longer of a sales process than maybe most other people would experience. So it's something you also need to manage your expectations on. Multi-call close. A lot of closes are going to be done with a doctor signature, if that, and the office manager is the one that ultimately makes calls the shots and makes the deal. And they're going to stall you at the beginning, saying that they're not the one that does that or has that ability, but they're full of shit.
Mm.
That's exactly what they have, and they're counting on you being a typical telemarketer in their mind, not knowing that.
Mm.
Okay, this is why market research is super, super important. Have to have some good conversations with some office managers in the dentist world. Okay, and
Hmm.
they're going to point you in the right direction. By the way, in the dentist field, there are some absolute sweethearts at the front desk. It's one of the
Hmm.
greater, one of the nicer. There's some absolute not so nice people, but there's a ton more of noticeably more friendly people at the front desk in the dentist vertical. I will say that. Um, so that'll be helpful to you. Most of them will be women, and they're going to be women that don't have time for any bullshit. So shoot them
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
Shoot them
Hmm.
straight. Most of them are going to be parents. So not only do they not have time for bullshit, they don't have any tolerance or very little tolerance for any um, uh, shenanigans of any kind, really. Uh,
I fully appreciate that because that's exactly what I've had to deal with so far, expanding my dental agency here in the UK.
good,
So I
good,
get
good.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so you're up to speed on that. I mean, there's things
Hmm.
that you're going to have an advantage on for that. But in terms of learning curve on the call ad side and client acquisition, I think it's going to be a different process for you. So while I
Well,
wouldn't, again, while I wouldn't normally recommend this vertical to anybody just starting out cold, given your
hmm
position and where you're at, sure, you know, it's
hmm
something that can be done. I can say that.
look, thank you very much. I almost feel guilty that I'm hogging so much of your time now. There must be other questions.
There might be. I'll take a look. I see some comments coming in, but
But I really appreciate this. This has given me a lot of insight, and I thank you
good,
for that.
Good. Yeah. And it's been a good conversation. I will say that. It's interesting. My biggest thing is as a teacher, and if you can't tell, like I'm not frustrated. I'm more concerned than anything. Like anytime I have somebody that I'm teaching, like I know based on this conversation that the best fit is obviously going to be dentistry, right? I get that. And I
Mm,
know that you can make money doing it. There's not a doubt in my mind that you can. I just know the path is different and tends to be more difficult, especially for someone who hasn't cut their teeth in yet on paper
mhm.
call. So my
Can
concern
I?
as a teacher kind of comes in, where it's there's reservations, but not because it's a bad vertical or because it's that difficult. The reservations are based on my experiences in teaching in this field and what I know about that vertical and what comes into play with client acquisition and all that kind of stuff. If there was one person though, based on what you've described and where you're at currently in your other
Mm.
business, right, to do this, then it would be you, right? I would give you that. So that's the only reason I'm actually feeling kind of okay about this. But
Well,
no,
I do have one other thought, and I don't know if it's a good thought, but I'll just air it.
okay,
I've got a client with 40 locations here in the
okay,
UK, a dentist with 40 different dental clinics across
okay,
the UK, right? I could sell them pay per call for emergency dentistry, but that would be in the UK and not the US.
okay.
And that could be one way of me cutting my teeth into, you talk about bootstrapping, where I may not have to bootstrap it because I would be having a willing client um,
That's
to
true.
try it on. And then, but I don't know how the transition away from the UK into the US would be, because part of the thing is I do want to expand into the US. So
Okay.
that's one other idea which I was having. So I
That's not a
use a
bad
bigger
idea.
client.
That's not a bad
Mm,
idea. What I would say to that is if you can do that, then do that because transitioning from, there will be some tweaks on the campaign
mm,
side. There will be some tweaks on the conversation side because of just the culture differences
hmm
for the sales side. But the campaign side, same thing, culture differences. We say things a little bit differently than you do over there. Um,
hmm
but that's okay because that gives you again an advantage from because you're starting from a strong point of you've got call recordings, you've built up assets with existing clients even though they're in the UK. Now you're on the phone with US dentists and it's listen, I'm expanding into the US,
mm,
not expanding into the vertical. I've been in the vertical. I've been in dentistry, right?
hmm
Dentists driving phone calls to dentists is what I do, right, lady? In a
hmm
nice way. But now I'm expanding into the U.S. I'm so good at it in my own country that they told me to start looking elsewhere. That's how good it. Yeah, that's the. And see, you make them laugh at the front desk, right? And they're
mm,
gonna they're
mm,
gonna they're gonna love that about you, right? And then you're gonna give
mm,
them the call recordings, right? And they're gonna be like, damn, this is I mean, this is a British call, or this is this is not in the U.S. But you're telling me you can drive root canal calls? Yeah, it's exactly what I'm telling you. And that's the conversation more or less. And of course, you catch their interest at that point, and that's why we start small. Let me show you what we can do. I'm expanding into the U.S. That's why we start small. That's why we do a deposit, and those conversations are going to go pretty well based on that. So yeah, I would say having your, like I said, if you're starting from a strong point like that and you can leverage existing clients even for just a test run, and I say test run
hmm
lightly here because it's actually going to develop into a run. um, you're going to have differences in the campaign language because of the culture differences language wise. You're going to have differences in the ad copy as well a little bit. Of course, you guys spell things differently over there than we do here. Things like
Yep.
that, but very nuanced, very small tweaks that can be made very easily transition wise from the UK to the US, right? So
Mm.
some different keywords targeted, some different language in the ad copy, and the sales process is going to be a little bit different just because of the culture differences. That's it. That's really it. And it is a more smooth of a transition than what we just previously discussed, which is you just coming straight into the U.S., not being able to necessarily bootstrap it. Um,
Hmm.
Still doable,
I
but I mean, hell, if there's a path up the mountain that has switchbacks versus one that's straight up the mountain, I'm going to take the switchbacks. Yeah, it's
hmm.
maybe a little bit more walking total, but at least it's safer. I don't
Hmm.
have to worry about tumbling down the hill. That's what switchbacks are for, right? Is safer climbing. So yeah, I would take the switchback path for sure. I'd go with the UK client and run that test for sure.
Yeah, because they have license for doing emergency dentistry, and they're not doing any pay per call.
They're probably not. No, most of them
No,
aren't.
they're not. They're not. They're just relying on their presence and being
Yep,
there for many years and all that.
yep. And so maybe they have enough business, but maybe they don't, right? Now shutdowns obviously are going to affect that, but maybe they're
Uh,
considered. I don't. Do you guys have an
no, this
essential
shutdown
business?
will resolve itself in about 3 to 6 months, anyways, with the
Well, do you
onset of the
guys
vaccine.
right? But do you guys have? That's true. Do you guys have what we call essential businesses over here in the U.S.? Do you guys have that or
Uh,
no?
yes, we have that, and dentistry is included in that.
Then
But
then you're
they have
golden.
done away. Yeah, and emergency dentistry is part of the essential service.
Then you're golden. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's the case study, and again, it's a bit old. Robert Cornick just posted it in the group. You're in the
Hmm.
Facebook group, right? The free one.
I guess so. I do not know. To be honest, I had allocated 2 months, and something went wrong. I think you know what happened. I don't want to go into that. And that just took away those 2 months because we couldn't resolve the software issue. And then I didn't get back to it. But when I saw that you were doing this dash, I thought, hey, let's try to get on board. I'll get two weeks of slower, 2 slow weeks of Christmas to maybe, you know, intake as much as possible, and then implement that in the new year.
Absolutely. Well, hell, if you start now, I mean, you've already got a lot of assets and things moving your way. What happened? Refresh my memory. Are you in the mentorship, or I thought you were in the
No, no, no.
mentorship, right?
I got your the software. What is it called again? Sorry,
Ring ads?
the yeah, the Ring Ad software, and it just I wasn't allowed access, and
Unallowed
there was some
access.
yeah, and then you helped me get in, but it took some time,
Oh,
and that was the time I'd allocated for going into this 2 months I'd given.
oh, I see. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Well, uh, um, let's not go there. The problem is resolved now.
okay.
What matters is how we move forward and not look back.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So if you're not in the main group, look on, and again, for people that don't like Facebook, I'm with you on that. Uh,
Hmm.
but we use it as a point of collection and reference like this. And it's very helpful because while I was talking to you about that case study that's easily found online, uh, Rob over here went and found it for you, right? And I've mentioned this and
I thank him for that. I'll definitely go and look at it.
yeah, it's in the group. It's free to join if you're not already in. And
I am in the group, in the
oh,
free
okay,
group. I think I am. I
okay.
should be in there. Yes, yes.
Okay, so you should be able to see that in the comments section, and I think he even tagged you in it, so you might see a notification here soon
Hmm.
showing you that. But this is something that this case study is actually something I taught on a few years ago, and again, it's a bit dated. It's not, I wouldn't say it's outdated, and some of the
Dentistry moves very slowly,
right, exactly.
so
That's part of it,
yeah.
but keep in mind he's showing specifically call ads, right? And so this
Hmm.
case study was done long enough ago that it was call only ads, right? They changed the name since then. Not only have they changed
Hmm.
the name, a lot of the
Oh, I
platform,
see. I see.
like in the
I see.
screenshots, it's all the old platform. So like this is
Hmm.
pre 2018 even, and
Oh, I see.
and so while I say it's dated, it's not
Hmm.
ineffective. It's just some of the things that he's showing in that case study are not quite as accurate. Like the numbers, the costs have gone up a little bit. I'm
Hmm.
sure in those areas, if that makes sense. So um, it's still very valuable and useful information for the field that you're jumping into. Obviously, I say jumping into
Hmm.
the call side, right, of the
Hmm.
field that
Hmm.
you're jumping into. but it's not going to be 100% accurate, right? There's probably going to be some conversations you and I have about uh, campaign optimization and different things like that. And you can feel free to, we have 2 calls a month in here in the main group on top of what we're doing this month, which is a call every day, right? We're doing
Oh, I didn't know there was a call every day. My God. Okay.
December Dash, the entire month of December. I have committed to being on the live stream at 11 a.m. for roughly an hour. Obviously, we're going over again, but it's fine because you have questions, you have things that you need answers to. I'm going to make sure that you get them before we jump off of here. So, but on the 14th and 28th of every month, outside of December Dash and inside of December, we do calls at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right? So.
Yep. Okay.
Anyway,
that's fine. I've made a note of it. I'll do my best to be in the calls. I do not know if I can do every day because it is a very busy period, but still, I'm very interested in taking in as much as possible during this month.
Cool. Well,
and whatever I can't do live, I'll make up in the recordings, plus those 2 slow weeks of the month, which I can fill up with learning.
You're in the right place mentally. That's good. And I'm happy to have you back. I'm sorry about the first time. That kind of sucks. We'll work on that though. We'll be more mindful of that going forward, like you said. And when it comes to the other vertical with locksmiths, again, don't feel too badly about that. I understand why you're saying that, where you're coming from. I still say it's a great vertical. There's no doubt in my mind, and not that dentistry
I mean, I've got all
bad.
the assets from those times still, which I could use, like the website and all those stuff.
Okay.
I've got everything in place. I could still go in there, but I just couldn't befriend myself with this field, with this niche. And in my opinion, you have to feel good as well when you're working. It can't just only be work and that's it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't really have. Maybe it's because I'm able to talk to blue collar and white collar the same. I don't, not the exact same way. But
don't get me wrong. It's I honestly don't have anything against blue collar whatsoever. On the contrary,
I understand. You're talking about communication, though.
Yeah, I wish I could just be in a. Frankly, one of the headaches or nightmares I have is I'm so focused on one niche, and I ask myself if that's prudent, because there were about 3 months this year because of Corona where everything was shut, and I was asking myself, Amir, you'd put all your eggs in one basket. But then afterwards, the whole thing, when they came back, it went roaring back up, and it was like a small anomaly.
I'll tell you, I don't teach to only do one vertical. I teach you to start with one vertical only. There's a difference. A lot of people miss what I'm saying or misunderstand what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that's you. I'm just making sure that everybody hears me on this. Start with one vertical, diversify through multiple verticals. And when you diversify through things that are considered essential businesses, long before they were ever even called essential businesses, folks, this is why this business model works so damn well. Blue collar, white collar alike have most of the verticals that I teach you. It's not a coincidence that they are all listed as essential businesses, right? And not that dentistry is not a good vertical to go into. It's just not something I wanted people to cut their teeth on. So that's why I don't recommend it out of the gate for most people. Given your scenario where you're coming from, I think it's not only a good fit. I think you've got a great way forward. It's going to be easier for you than it would be for somebody else. Completely blank, right? Blank slate. So yeah, I would say run with that, go with that, and I'll help you with that. I can do that. I'll make that commitment to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is such a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm just happy to have you back, man, and have you working at it. So I think you're going to be able to drive some calls now. And
no, I will. With all this wind in my sails from you, yes, absolutely.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. No, all right, I'll let you get to it. I don't want to keep you.
No, and same here. And thank you. And I appreciate, and I apologize to everyone else if I took too much of your time.
That's
And
okay.
if they had something to ask, I didn't mean to do that, but it's been very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I know a lot of people found a lot of good insight off of that, and I know we went long again, but sometimes you just have to go long, right? That's how we do things. Robert, you're saying you used to sell. I'm going to look at the comments here. If you have, let's make it a last call though, because these calls are supposed to be an hour, and we're approaching two again. Again, not an issue. I just want to make sure that everybody's taken care of, and then we're going to bounce. But last call for questions in the comments. Um, let's see, we have one from David Bennett. Where are the sales scripts located? A couple different places, David. You should be able to find them in the pay per call guides, which are found inside of the training videos area of the RingAds software. You can also find them. So pay per call agency success in 24 hours or less, part 1 and part 2. Those PDF guides, they have the sales script actually specifically linked in part 1 of the part 1 guide. There's also a drop down of the sales in the drop down menu of the COVID Client Challenge in the same training videos area of the RingAds software. You'll also find the COVID Client Challenge. If you go in there, you'll find on one of the days, I think it's like day 3 or day 4, you'll find a little drop down menu and it'll have the sales script. If you scroll through that, you'll be able to find the sales script there. And it's also inside of this Facebook group, should be under units. So like if you go up to the top menu of the Facebook group, I'm going to do that right now. See if I can come on Facebook. There we go. Let me see if I can come in here. Units. There it is, units. At the very top. And then look at resources. You'll see the guides are also there. And should be sales scripts. Hold on. Let's see here. Nope, just the guides. But inside the guides, the sales script is direct links. So that's probably why I didn't put that in there. But yeah, that's where I would start. There's a few different places you can find it. And if you're in the mentorship, there'd be a few more places you could find it. But yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And there was another one. Let me get back to the main page of the live stream here because I think there were a couple other questions. Hey, Jerry Clark, I see your attendance. Jeff Brewer, I see your attendance for today. And that just leaves Bob Lee. We're missing Bob Lee. For attendance, follow-up is key. Andy, didn't I already get you, Andy? Andy, you're not on this list from day 1. So I'm not sure what that's about. I just now realized that. Wow, it's interesting. Okay, got it. See it in the PDF now. You're more than welcome. Happy to help. I'm not seeing anything else in the questions. I might be missing it because the comments kind of came in and buried everything. It's so weird that they don't show me the comments, all the comments at one time that I want to see. Kind of sucks. Hold on, you know what? Maybe what I can do, let's see here, is I can maximize that window. Does it open up the full comment screen? Please do. Please do. Yeah, it's so weird that they have to mute the feed, of course. Come on, Facebook, show me the comments. Would be really nice to see the comments. Like Restream tends to work pretty well, but it seems to have frozen because the last comment I see posted there is from Art, and I know that wasn't the last comment. Here we go. Oh yeah, this works. So now I know what I need to do next time to see. So Miro says, and I knew there was one I missed, at least one. Miro says, I'm starting with almost zero knowledge yet. I'm not new to digital marketing. Okay, that's good. I'm going slowly through the training. Simply, what would you suggest to be my first steps to be most productive? That's a great question. You know, a lot of people have found a lot of progress to be had either from the pay-per-call guides that I just mentioned, and where you can find those, obviously, part 1 and part 2. There's a lot of great training in there. I'm going to be updating those guides as well later on for 2021, but they're still very much relevant and very useful to getting you jump started. A lot of good resources in both of them. I've gotten a lot of compliments. Normally, people don't compliment others on their PDFs, but for some reason these PDFs are that good. So I'm not bragging. I'm just saying this is what other people have said to me in support and in training. So take that for what it's worth. Take their opinion, not mine. I'm just grateful to have them, and I'll update them later and make them even more relevant. But they're still extremely relevant. You could use just those guides, matter of fact, and that's it, and you do very well. Okay. Now, there's also something called the COVID Client Challenge. It's under the training video section of the software. You'll find it there. And that gives you much more an over-the-shoulder view, a setup of the entire agency. So you can see how I build things, why I recommend them, all that kind of stuff. And there's a speed function on the video because those sessions, I think it's like 35 hours worth of streaming, which is like 35 hours. Well, I'm showing you step by step and explaining shit to you along the way and taking breaks. So yeah, 35 hours at 2x is going to be, what is that, 17 and a half hours over the shoulder, and you're done. And 17 and a half hours is not too shabby for a full agency setup. And actually, there's quite a bit of that is me prospecting, which you don't necessarily have to see to start if you follow what I teach you to do anyway, which is studying the sales script on your own and prospecting on your own. You can do that. So take that 17 and a half and cut that down to probably like, I don't know, 13 hours. But yeah, those are the two places I would start, Meryl. Okay. And it's a good question. To be the most efficient, have the most progress. There's Christina's question, Adrian's question. There's all the follow-up is keys. That looks like it's it. I think. Oh no, new comment. Hold on. Thanks for answering my question. Gotcha. You're more than welcome. We're looking good, folks. We're looking good. All right. Is that right? Did I get that right? Rob just commented, I used to sell health insurance. Being polite is half the job. It's very true, actually. Cordial. I always used to call it being cordial. And that's how I say cordial. Cordial. I don't know why I say it that way, but I do. Makes it sound like I don't know how to spell the damn thing, but I do. I do know how to spell that word. And no, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have to. But I do know how to spell it, and I do know how to say it properly. But I say it the way I say it because I say it the way I say it. That said, we're 10 minutes shy of 2 hours this time. Hey, progress, right? I'm kidding. I'm happy to help, of course. Appreciate you tuning in. Remember, to recap here, prep for next week or this coming week, or this week rather. Keep saying this coming week. It's Sunday. Technically, it's the start of the new week. So prep for your calls tomorrow, starting tomorrow. Get your schedule all lined up based on, again, what you've got going on in your world. Make time for the family if you've got a family. Right? Don't take time away from them. Make time for them. You can do all of the above. Right? It's not one or the other here. I'm not saying it's one or the other, and it'll never be one or the other. Hell, you're doing it for the family, right? If you're building this agency and you're trying to get out of the job, you're doing that for you and the family. The last thing you want to do is not have a family when you get this part done. That would be crazy. So please don't be, unless you're totally unhappy with your family and want a new one, right? And I joke, but if that were the case, then yeah, okay, cool. But I'll catch you folks tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then we're going to have to go just an hour. So we're going to be super quick. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock because I've got to jump over to the mentorship session at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But that said, get after it. By the time I talk to you tomorrow, a lot of you will have been on the phone for the afternoon sessions because 11 a.m. here is 2 p.m. Eastern. So a lot of you will have started your afternoon sessions or have completed your late morning afternoon sessions on Monday. And that means some of you should have clients, right? Or significant progress at the very least in your market research, agency setup, stuff like that. So that said, post all of your wins and not just client wins, post all of your wins in the group. I want to see posts about people. I got my agency site set up. I've got set up with Dialer Central. I got set up with the market research. Here's what I found. Anything you want to share in order to hold yourself accountable, right? Self-accountability and also encouragement. A lot of our members are extremely supportive. It's a very positive environment. We make sure to keep it that way, of course, as you know from our previous live sessions here. And we keep you moving in the right direction. So that said, I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the month. I'll see you then. All right. Bye for now.
Cool. Cool. You fall. Back on my shit with a new advantage. I leave it up to you to settle the damage. Diamond, yeah, I know it's foreign to him. I came from the guts of rural Alabama. Steph Curry wrist, watch what they handle. Simple motors, gotta lead by example. Not too many make it out when they doubt. Never been about bailing off of my route. Rain gang, got the city HD. Hate to see my brother die every week. Numb to your vision. My life got me too fucked up. Disrespect to make a nigga go dumb. Pillow talking while you nursing that bitch and turn you to a scrub. I let prices from the plug. Bay Shore, Ocean View, win Adidas with the boots. Niggas out here slinging arbitrage, so the money really no excuse. Welcome to the realm.